and welcome back to another weather video. Today we are talking about Tropical Depression 10, which has formed in the Atlantic and could become Tropical Storm Julian. So let's get right on into it. So our current stats for this storm are maximum sustained winds of 35 miles an hour, minimum central pressure of 1,007 millibars, and moving north at 8 miles an hour. So let's start off here with the warnings and cones, showing the storm to intensify into a tropical storm over the next few hours, and then eventually go back to a tropical depression while still moving pretty much north. There are some twists and turns in there, but generally northward. Now, this is a fish storm. Bermuda is right here and is the closest to being impacted by this storm, but that's still very far off from the cone. So a fish storm here. Now, our arrival time of winds with wind speed probabilities turned on shows a very low likelihood of tropical storm force winds, the most being 30 to 40% right in the next 12 hours or so. So let's move on here to our satellite imagery, showing the center of rotation right in here, but all of the thunderstorm activity is off to the east side, which we do see plenty in these developing tropical systems. And this storm is getting hammered with some shear. You can see here that we have all of this thunderstorm formation, and it's getting pulled out of the storm due to the shear. It's just getting shredded up due to that shear, and everything is moving over to that east side because of it. So the further it goes north, it could see a break in that shear, and then we will see a little bit more development of the storm. So let's start off here with our global and hurricane models on our current storm information. So we have a wider variety of different tracks, but basically this is going to head practically straight northward, take a little turn toward the east right around 25 degrees north, and then curl back toward the west to 30 degrees north, and then curl to the north at 35 and back to the east. The GEFS does show something like that, almost exactly with the median, but these spaghetti strands, as I like to call them, do go all over the place. We have some loop-de-loops, we have some hooks, and some sharper turns, so this isn't as streamlined as we did see with Ida. Now, the GEPS is still all over the place, but generally this is a little bit closer to that median track. But we still have some stragglers, such as this one over here going all the way up to Canada, as well as this one over here doing a hook back toward the west. So, moving on here to the intensity guidance. This is where things get interesting. So, the National Hurricane Center is expecting this to become a tropical storm, and then get demoted back to a tropical depression, stay as a tropical depression for most of its life. Now, the current storm information shows this storm staying a tropical depression for a while, at least the next 24 hours, at least if we look at the majority of the models, and then eventually moving up to a tropical storm strength between the next 24 to 96 hours. And that is the majority of the models. Some models show a more intense storm. Category 1, we have about four or five models showing a Category 1 hurricane. We have one model showing all the way up to a Category 3 hurricane at 120 hours. So we just have to take a look at that. The intensity of the storm is going to be what's really up for the question. The track is a little bit more set in stone, but not that much. The storm is still quite a mystery to the models. So we do have plenty of possibilities, both in terms of strength and as well as track, but the longer this storm goes, moving northward as well as not gaining any intensity, the less likely it is to do so. It is moving into cooler and cooler waters as it continues to move further and further north, so this storm does have a time limit on it if it's going to do any developing, and I think that is about by the end of this current cone in the next 5 days. So, moving on here to the European model, and the European model does have this more set in stone. Doesn't have all those crazy loops and turns. Everything is basically very streamlined into that current median track, with the fraying of those spaghetti strands right at the end there when things do become a little less consistent, but that is fully expected with models. They aren't perfect 5 days from now. So, moving on here to the Hwrf hurricane model, and we're just going to take a look at this storm. You can see here 1,007 millibars, and let's take a look at this system. So, moving up here, we do see this storm kind of hovering around those thousands markers. Then, as the storm continues to move north, it does strengthen. 999 now, then we see 994, and then it goes back toward the tropical depression strength. We're at 22 degrees north, so it is making that turn toward the east. And once it starts to come back toward the west, you can see these lines starting to move, showing a signifying western turn. The storm does try to gain some more strength down into the 990s yet again. So this storm is probably a tropical storm at that point, so let's actually confirm that with our 10-meter winds. Let's just go all the way back here and just take a look, just to get everything straight. So you can see here that for right now, moving through Sunday and into Monday, we start to see the tropical storm force winds form up late Sunday into Monday, but they're really not that consistent. They kind of increase suddenly and decrease suddenly. Once we get some consistency out of this storm is probably right over here on Thursday the 2nd, when we could see a Category 1 hurricane out of this. So, of course, that is within the 5 days, and this shows that Category 1 strength. So if we go over to our current storm information, this is more of the lines of this red model here, showing it kind of struggling to get any strength and then just picking up in about 3 or 4 days and eventually moving up to a Category 1 hurricane. So currently that is what the Hwrf shows happening. Of course, this is only one model run. There are many different model runs signified by the current storm information. So overall, we have a storm here that isn't very solidified in terms of track or strength, so we just have to wait and see. But the good thing is, with this instability in the storm, this is a fish storm, so we don't have to worry about a suddenly surging storm if there's land in the cone. So we don't have to worry about that, which is a good news. But that is all I have for this storm. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell. But that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.